Welcome to the Impact Maker's Journey from Passion to Profits, the podcast showcasing heart-centered coaches, experts, and energy healers who are on a mission to change lives and create meaningful success doing what they love. I'm your host, Wendy Vaughan, business success coach and founder of Impact Maker Coaching. And I've got to be honest, the path from passion to profits is rarely easy, but it's always filled with growth, clarity, and surprising rewards. Now, each week I sit down with inspiring impact makers who have turned their knowledge and wisdom into thriving businesses that are making a meaningful difference for others. I will explore their personal and professional journeys, how they found their calling, and how they continue to stay aligned with their passion along the way. So if you're here to expand your vision about what's possible for yourself, you're in the right place. So join me as we discover the positive ripple effects created by today's guest. All right. Hi there, everyone. I have as my guest today, Fabienne Marneau. Now, Fabienne is a soul alchemist and intuitive business strategist. Now, she supports those heart-centered, high-achieving entrepreneurs to get rid of their limiting patterns, avoid burnout, and reconnect with their passion and purpose. So welcome, Fabienne. I'm so excited to have you as my guest today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to just learning more about this work that you do, as well as discovering some things about your journey as an entrepreneur. Because for me, I'm always curious about that, because as an entrepreneur, sometimes it's, the perfect storm. Sometimes it's the perfect pathway. Sometimes it's just a hot mess, and we land on our feet. So I'm always curious to learn a little bit about, the journey that you've experienced, because also typically that journey includes not only learning about the business development side of things, but it's an opportunity for personal developments. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And it's a mix of both. You can never rise without having some
Yep.
downtime and so forth. We say we learn from the low the most, really.
Absolutely. They go hand in hand, the ebbs and the peaks and valleys. So and that journey from passion, that moment of clarity around the opportunity or the gifts that we have to really lean into those, that journey from passion to profits, it's not easy. But the thing that I feel is the same for all of us is that vision of making that meaningful difference for others. So I'd love to hear, like I said, a little bit about your journey. So curiously, to start out with, how long have you been a soul alchemist and intuitive business strategist?
Right. Well, the strategist came later, but the soul alchemist, I would say around 9 years old.
Wow.
Because it came from a really, I would say almost strange attraction for everything that is spiritual, deeply spiritual, beyond even religion, because I was raised Catholic in a very structured, environment and belief system, but very open mind. And I enjoyed always, but on a very mystical way, more mystical than just superficial. It never was for me a practice, but more a feeling. And I was only 9 years old when I wrote the title of my book, what is very unusual for a 9 years old kid.
That is very unusual. What is the title?
Sensuality of the Soul. Sensuality of the soul, because I always knew that you could feel your soul. Therefore, it can go through your sense. 9 years old, yeah.
That is amazing.
Probably I started doing some writing when I was really 12 years old. Then I stopped, got busy with other stuff, but I am coming back now, writing that book finally, at a much more advanced age, right? But
hopefully still through the purity of that
exactly.
9-year-old, right? Because sometimes that pure connection with the truth
and passion. And passion, because like I said, I was a very unusual. I don't think I was fitting really anybody around me. And even when I was 12, 16, because when I moved to south of France from Paris, I was in my about 16 years old, 15, 16. And I remember at school, they called me the little dictionary because I always searched the meaning of words. I always was. And they made a joke out of it. And I said, well, don't, it's not a joke because I sleep with a dictionary. I had a dictionary on the side of my bed. And whenever I was thinking, I would go and check the etymology of the word because I wanted to understand it. And
Right.
because I didn't study Latin and Greek, what was really a big regret of mine, but my dad didn't like studying Greek and Latin, what he had to do at school. So he didn't put me on those
Mm.
elitic classes that could have been on. And but anyway, I did my own research. So
Mm-hmm.
I would dig
Right.
into the dictionary and since that day, today, because English is not my main language, when you guys are using a word that I don't totally um, master, I'll search on Google because I want to know exactly the meaning of the
What
words
the meaning
that
is.
that
Yes.
we are using,
Mm-hmm.
because words
Mm-hmm.
have power
They do. They
and
have energy. They have,
yeah, and they
not
lead to
just,
truth. They lead
mm-hmm.
to truth. If you
Yeah.
use a misaligned word, it completely destroys the harmony of the meaning of what you're expressing.
Yes.
So it's the same with painting. I paint, and I love music. I sometimes receive music, so I composed and I did recording of those music.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing, if there is no harmony, it's off. If it's off, it's not true. I am a true seeker. I seek truth. So
Mm.
for me, passion is just the natural expression of that connection with the divine and the truth about who we are.
So
Who
how
we
does
are.
that, yeah, how does that blend then with the intuitive business strategist now that is part of your
Everything.
title?
Yes, everything. Because let's say I have a client who is conflicted with a decision they need to make,
Mm-hmm.
or or their lack of passion, or whatever the issue is. Um, then I help them to reconnect with their purpose, but the
Okay.
soul purpose, not just their life purpose. Because the life purpose is connected to your karma, meaning the things you have to clear about your own self to be a better person, to function better, etc. But the soul purpose is more your legacy, the true meaning of your incarnation, and whatever next is coming. If you believe that life is eternal, what is
Mm-hmm.
your next purpose? I think it's really important to have that vision even in your mind, in the present moment, not only to think, well, when I'll be dead, I'll see, it will be for next. No, we need to take care of that. I'm going to give you an example. When I put my dog, our loving dog, Maximilian, Maxu, um, to sleep because he was 14 years old and we had to put him down. So I did. With my older son, we went and did that. I mean, the veterinarian, obviously, but I had a conversation with him before, and I told him, I said, Max, be meaningful with your next incarnation. Whatever
Mm.
you select in the next life, be a good person, good. If it's a dog, an animal, or whatever, and if it's a human, be a good person. Keep that love that we gave you and keep being the wonderful soul that you are. I had that conversation with him.
Mm.
And I believe it's important. It's important to believe that our desire, our intent, everything that is intentional has power. And there is no big things and small things. When you put that intention into your business, you change the world. When you put that intention toward yourself, you change all your relationships around you. If you
Right.
love yourself, you respect yourself, you you have expectation of yourself, um, you give a standard. You raise the standard about life and values.
So
And when
this,
you do that,
yeah, this all knowingness and clarity began so early in your life, and then you transitioned it into supporting in the business sector.
In the business, yeah. So
Yeah.
to give you an idea of my projector, my life, I was meant to study law. I was in law school for 2 years, and I didn't finish because I realized that it was not my life purpose. I mean, not my sole purpose. It could have been my life purpose. I could have been a good lawyer because I wanted to be, you know, defending people who would
Okay.
have,
So kind of
I would
social
have been
justice type role.
of
Yeah.
yeah, of
Hmm.
attorney.
Hmm.
And but I realized no, I was more interested in their soul than even their physical condition. I mean, social
Interesting.
condition,
Right, right.
So I stopped, and then I started studying all kind of different things. And then finally, when I moved to the US, that was more the vision I had to help people to be with their wellness. So I had for 40 years, I
Hmm.
own a day spa. At some point, I had the most successful day spa in Newport Beach in California.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
and
A day
then
spa is
was
always a wonderful little escape.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I was still doing that very spiritually, offering retreats and
Mm.
healing, and
Hmm.
it was
So it wasn't
uh,
just a pampering kind of experience. It
no,
was very holistic.
beyond, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, much beyond that,
mm-hmm.
right? And then when COVID hit, I decided to close down. It was too complicated. And I had already downsized because the economy changed little by little. I mean, at some point, the big salon day spa we had in Newport Beach was huge. We had 30 stylists. I had 4 facial rooms. I mean, it was big. But little by little, I shrinked, because the economy changed in that industry.
Mm-hmm.
And then when COVID hit, I was only by myself working my business, but it was becoming too complicated, and I closed down. And I said, that's it. Now I can concentrate exclusively on the coaching, helping people not to make the mistakes that I made in business with advertisement, with loans, with, all the business
Mm-hmm.
aspect. In
So
40
yeah,
years,
the
I
two
had up and
strategies.
downs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that's where the business strategy came in more, that I was
Got it.
able to use that and still infuse it with my intuition. Because if people would ask me, should I advertise with that? Is that a good location? Should I partner with that person? Then I could use my own intuition and lead them to the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
Because people need to give their own answer. I don't like to give advice that look totally outside,
Well,
not
it's
as an
like you were saying,
outsider.
their truth is within, so
Yes,
facilitating them to connect with that.
right. And to find their
Mhm.
own answers, and guiding them to sometimes accept their own answers. Because sometimes we are afraid, we don't trust our own intuition, our own connection with the divine, and that's when the problem happen. Every
Yes,
time you
that
deny,
uncertainty. Yeah,
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
questioning or incongruence or like doubting, that's when things go
really
off the
bad.
wheels,
Yes,
right? And I
yes,
know that your
yes,
specialty is working with those high achieving
yes.
entrepreneurs. So curiously, if you could just maybe share with us what's a common false belief that they have that keeps them stuck in their business or their
Well,
lives, that
there is
thinking
many,
things that just can't change, or it's just
right,
like I don't know what to do.
right. One of the big one that you just inspire me to talk about is the belief that it has to be hard, that things have
Mm.
to be hard, and that we need to work more hours, that we need to be very serious. I mean, I like to say we should take seriously everything we do, but not to take ourselves seriously or not to attract drama. Drama is never constructive to anything good, you
Yeah,
know?
and it's
Flow of
so easy to get
yeah, caught up with
connected
the
to the
drama.
drama. That's what gets
Yeah,
the attention. That's what we learn, in the headlines. It's the drama, right?
right.
But like you
And
just said, that's
uh,
counterproductive.
and then now we have tools like the human design or stuff like that help people to understand who they are and where they function the best in an organization, even if it's their own business? It's important to know. Are you just a leader who is going to be a visionary, or are you a leader that likes to oversee all the details and the implementation, the system and all that? So those are different personalities. And if you
Sure.
don't know who you are, you're not going to be happy. You are going to drain your energy and you're not going to be as successful. So yeah. So, in my way of working, I don't pretend I have all the answers, but I connect with the right people. Like I would connect them with you, somebody like you, for the part that I am not specialized in. You see, I think an intelligent leader is somebody who recognizes strengths and teamwork with the right people who energetically are aligned with the same values, with the same principles, and then we create programs or complementary programs that works with synergy. No competition, no nothing
Right.
that can be like that negative, but a good keeping the perspective of the higher good of all, and meaning if you have a client, obviously you want the best for your client.
Absolutely. Right. And for those entrepreneurs, if they have started their own business versus buying a business, they've typically stepped into maybe doing a lot of different things
That
to
they are not
launch,
supposed to
and
do.
then
Yeah,
transitioning out of that is sometimes difficult. So
right,
just if
right.
you could share with us an example of not necessarily a specific person, but just in general, more I'm speaking to, what's going on for those high achieving entrepreneurs when it comes to their business or their lives that prompts them to say, finally, enough. I this is not working. I need to fix this.
Right. I
What?
need help or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
And it's
And I know
interesting you say
it's
that.
different for everyone, but in general, because
What it
they're high
is.
achieving, so they tend to want to probably work really hard. But what's the breaking point that says this isn't working?
So I would say probably the happiness, the lack of joy
Ah,
and passion and creativity. You used the word
right.
earlier, passion. So
Mhm.
because if you are passionate, you have energy and you are creative. If you are not passionate anymore, look at in a relationship, why do people sometimes divorce? Because they lost the passion. But maybe their passion were not was lacking of awareness. You see, you can still be passionate about somebody without having the same passion. Passion can evaluate, it can change,
Mhm.
it can evaluate, to be transformed and that doesn't mean that it's less, it's just different.
Right,
And in
right.
business, it's the same. You may have the passion at the beginning to work hard, to build something, to make it happen. And then after a while, you need to have the awareness, like you said, to maybe recognize that you can have a team that takes care of the things that are not your gift, your talent. So you
Mhm.
don't drain your energy
Exactly.
and you can keep pleasure and then you safeguard your freedom because we need time for ourselves. So that's, I would say, one of my strengths is
Mhm.
to help my clients, to guide them to realize where they are misaligned in
Mhm.
what they need for themselves. They
Mhm.
don't nurture themselves. Very often, entrepreneurs are givers more than receivers. I have one new person that I talked to this morning. It was very interesting. He's very successful. He's a wonderful business person and coach and so forth. But I could tell he doesn't take care of himself. He doesn't believe in receiving. He's
Mm.
not a receiver. So of course,
Mm. Yeah, that's a
his
problem, right?
his business is affected. And he was telling me, I don't understand. I should be making $1 million easily, and I am not. He's under the seven-figure business,
Mhm.
and he has all the tools, all the knowledge, all the connections. So there is something in his subconscious mind that is blocking him.
Mm.
So I immediately tested him with his permission. I said, "Do you want me to test what I can see that could be the cause?" And funny enough, it doesn't belong to him. It's something that belonged to the lineage, the ancestral lineage patterns of his mother.
Oh my gosh.
So I gave him that information, and then he booked an appointment to work with me tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to take care of it. We
That's
will,
amazing. Yeah. So it's
and
not
we'll
just it goes on for
generations.
generations.
Because it was not even his mom, it didn't even belong to his mom, but it was on her lineage. And I
Hmm.
have way to test it and to find, to know the truth about those things. And then now, tomorrow, we'll do the work and he's going to feel free. He's going to be
So
free from it.
it's almost like ghosts that are still there.
Yes, yes. And that's why I joke by saying I'm a ghostbuster
Yeah.
and that I
Oh,
help
you call
people to.
yourself a ghostbuster.
Yeah,
I
the
love
little
that.
Ghostbuster. But they are not gluey ghosts. They are just there, energy that shouldn't be there or that are bothering us, and we don't know why. So they are unconscious. It's the unconscious mind, really, the
Hmm.
ghost.
Hmm.
That all those things
Okay.
that are limiting our belief system, that are limiting our joy, our visions, our passion, our creativity. So as soon as we clear those little ghosts, uh, then everything is possible. Everything
Hmm.
become possible.
So they're keeping things kind of anchored in this space of whatever, lack.
Negativity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
negativity.
like, yeah, yeah.
And so your work, through your work, you are able to clear them. Is that what I'm
Yeah,
understanding?
yeah. First
Oh,
identify them because
right.
we need their awareness, and then one by one to clear them. Yes, because it is possible.
That's fascinating. So
Yeah.
how do those ghosts affect people's lives and businesses if
In
they're unaware?
every
Does every
way
well,
you.
let me ask this, does everyone have ghosts?
Yes, everybody. We all have
Everybody.
ghosts in the closet.
Wow.
Everybody, of course, of
Wow.
course. Well, if we didn't, we all would be extremely happy, joyful, healthy, with great relationship and multimillionaire. I mean, because it's
Mhm.
energy. Energy is available for all of us infinitely. There is no
Mhm.
limits. So it's a belief to think that there is not enough. And the media, we have to be very careful with the media.
Right.
They
Just like
are
you said, the belief
brainwashing
around
you.
having to work hard, the belief
Yeah.
around having drama, the belief around all those things.
Right. And lack, that is not enough. Like they
No.
are telling us about the ocean, about the air, about this, about that. Yes, it's
Mhm.
true on a superficial level, but there is possibilities. With science and willpower of the young generation, we can transform what look very negative. You know, I believe in that. We
Mm.
can clear the ocean if we want to, and that's why we need to keep contributing to that. Because
Mhm.
without a clean ocean, without water, everything is going to be affected to such a deep level that we
Yeah.
we will all be sick. I mean, we don't want to become, affected by all that and the air and all that. But there is solution. There is solution. I mean, science is there to help us too.
Hmm.
You know, and
Yeah,
and the will.
I guess I'm just curious, in your work to not only help a person to really discover those limiting beliefs, which are possibly multi-generational in their past, but to clear them. So this is through energetic work that you're able to do.
It manifests energetically, but I would say the root is spiritual because
Okay.
the way I connect with the truth is a spiritual ability. And like I said, I think I was born with it. Now I spend my life studying XZ. I mean, I don't think there is one technique on this planet that I haven't studied,
Mm.
NLP, past life regression,
Multitudes of
in the
different
whole,
modalities.
the whole chambang of healing. But I
Uh,
keep telling people it's not the methodology that has power that makes any difference. It's the energy you have or not, the ability you have or not to believe, to have faith in it, and to make it in action.
mm.
Because um,
Yeah, this work that you're doing is just so. I'm just thinking of that person that you described who you've supported to find this limiting belief, this ghost, and tomorrow he's going to be, starting the process with you. So what kind of transformation what's possible now for him after
So I'm
having
going to tell
shared
you, I already wrote down what I see that is going to happen for him, because he's willing to do the work. So it's going to happen because I
that?
don't do anything. I guide, but it's really the energy of accepting with faith the higher power action within you. So we can call it Holy Spirit, God, whatever you call it, what you
Mhm.
want, but there is the higher power in action. I don't have that power. My power is to be able to be aware of it and guide somebody who is willing to do the work and accept that energy from the divine
Mhm.
to transform what can be transformed and cleared. So it's beautiful, beautiful experience. But I can tell he mentioned that he doesn't have the love of his life, the relationship he is
Because
wishing.
he's not able
And
to receive,
exactly, you got it.
right?
So I made him aware of that he's blocked in receiving, and that he has so much fear of being hurt or wrong or whatever, that he's more a giver than a receiver.
Mm.
So he does that in his business, he does that in his relationship, and he was even doing that with working with people like me because I suggested to him, that we could do a few things together because he's amazing at what he does, and he was not willing to receive,
Mm.
So at least just from the conversation we had today, he's aware of it, and he said, "Yeah, okay, okay, let's work on it because you're right.
Mm.
It's limiting me and,
Wow.
and my and my wealth and my business. It's affecting my business,
Right.
So
Yeah.
the result is going to be happier. I bet you he's extremely handsome, he's kind, he's successful, he's young. So I told him, I know there's somebody for you out there. Let me help you. I'm going
Right.
to help you
Right.
find that woman. I
Yeah,
won't
that's
do anything.
a big shift to be able to receive versus,
Yeah.
keeping the blocks up. Financially, love, relationships,
Yeah. And
all
everything
those
is
things.
related. Because,
Hmm.
for example, in my life, if I have an argument with my husband, I don't have any energy for my business. I need to feel that flow of love and peace in my
Yes,
own
everything
home.
is
If I
interconnected.
if I have chaos, if I worry about my kids, if anything like that happen, I am not as willing to take care of my clients. I'm sorry, but we're human.
Hmm.
So so it is extremely important to have all those things in check.
Yeah.
Why don't they, when you apply for a high position job in a company, they always want to know if you're married and happily married and all that. They are not supposed to do that, but they find a way to find out. And
Hmm.
they want to find out because it doesn't look as good if somebody is extremely unhappy at home for a big position of leadership.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it makes sense. It may not
They're
be
not
fair,
that
but
stable.
exactly.
Hmm.
It's not the same energy. In a meeting, you're not going to be smiling and full of,
Hmm.
let's do it and conquer the world. You're going to be
Right.
like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I had an
These
argument
are
with my wife this morning and whatever, So
these are
no, every
such obvious things, to all of us looking from the outside in. Well, of course, that makes perfect sense. But the
right,
fact of being able to identify, become aware of, and then clear is what's fascinating to me. And you're obviously very passionate about
yes,
doing this work. And
yes,
I absolutely love that because what I've discovered over the past 8 years now of coaching within this space, help supporting, energy workers and other coaches to build their businesses is that frequently that initial, vision and passion and even purpose can get kind of diluted because of
eroded.
the business building frustrations, right?
Right, right,
It takes a person off their game. A lot of it has to do with not knowing what your strengths are, just the things that you spoke about, right? Trying to do things that
right,
really aren't aligned instead of delegating it. So, but that passion for doing the work that has been your gift, or maybe a discovered skill set, or whatever that path has been, is truly part of the bigger scheme of things. And I don't really like the word scheme, but the ripple effects are truly infinite.
right.
And one of the things that I learned early in my career as an entrepreneur from one of the coaches that I had. And it was Mark Victor Hansen. And I didn't work with him directly as a coach, just to be very clear, as Mark Victor Hansen was the co-author for the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and talk about a visionary and so effervescent. But I was in a mastermind with he and Bob Proctor, which was called the 3% Club. And so 4 times a year, we would all gather at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs and have a mastermind session. And it was so inspiring just to be in his energy, right? But one of the things of many that he taught me that I walked away with and still really have front and present in my life today is the thing that he suggested to keep that passion fueled is to set what he called a big, hairy, audacious goal for yourself. And he said, Wendy, you just need to, think bigger. Just stop getting all tangled up in all these little details. When you set for yourself just a big, audacious goal for the vision that you have, that your work is part of, then that keeps that passion refueled. And so ever since then, I've always had some version of a big, audacious goal. And for me, that's why I love the work that I do, is because my big, audacious goal is to raise consciousness within humanity. And the reason that excites me then to work with coaches and energy workers is because you are the ones that are bringing that awareness, just like the man that you spoke about, to the fact that, oh, you're not at 1,000,000 and you don't have the love of your life simply because of this thing that's connected to your mother's lineage. And we can fix that. Right. And it's just like, can you imagine the ripple effects now of this man who is able to fully step into alignment with his truth and, the greatness, and the ripple effects of just that are infinite. And so for me, that's what inspires me to do my work, is because I just see the overall consciousness of humanity flourishing.
Yeah. And it make it worth it to do everything you are doing,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I would love to hear, I'm going to put you on the spot, Fabienne. Do you have a bigger vision or something that fuels your passion, that keeps you kind of on this trek? Because, this is draining work that you do, I would imagine. I mean, it can be working with people.
Yeah, no. And it did evaluate, to be honest with you, because I consider myself as a lone wolf. And my transformation is that now I am thirsty and building a concept of a lone wolf tribe. So if we have the right lone wolf tribe, we're going to be able to be so much more efficient. And my goal, you said, raising consciousness. For me, it's very practical because, I'm I'm a spiritual person, but extremely practical.
Yeah, the business strategist.
Yeah. But really, my goal is no pain. I want people to be free. So that's why I call my program Be Free, freedom lifestyle. And then my podcast is called Be Free, and everything is about freedom. Because if we are free, then we can function, we are happy, we are successful, we everything, possibilities when you are free. When you're not free, there is no possibilities, there is only limitations and boundaries. You're a slave, to everything, your emotions, drama, and the ghosts are taking over.
Yeah.
They are not anymore in the closet. They are everywhere.
Not anymore in the closet. Right.
So I love
that. Well, I just love just learning through your perspective of things. It's just really, talk about freeing. It is liberating to see things through that vantage point. So, and I believe that you have a special gift for our audience, or a fun next step. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Sure. So you're going to, I believe, give them a link to the ancestral lineage. It's what do we call that? Let me see.
Karma clearing?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Ancestral Karma Clearing,
Okay.
exactly. And that is a workshop that is recorded. So when they sign up for it, they will receive the recording to understand what it is. And I explain the origin of it, how I discover an abandonment issue that I had that I didn't belong to me. I was, and so anyway, it's the whole story of how I discover my that ancestral lineage pattern existed, how they were affecting me, and how now I dedicate my life to help people to clear those patterns. So like I said, I
Okay.
use all kind of other techniques. I'm not limited to that technique, but it's really what I lead with because it's so powerful and
Awesome.
unique. Yeah.
Well, that is fantastic. So yes, look in the show notes. You'll find the link to access that workshop on ancestral karma clearing. So, well, Fabienne, thank you so much for sharing your journey and the true gifts that you have within you that you received at probably even prior to you being born, right? Prior to
Oh
now.
yeah,
So
no, that's for sure.
just, and allowing us to see through a different lens that truly does expand our vision of what is possible in terms of happiness, success, relationships for these heart-centered, high-achieving entrepreneurs. So thank you again. Really appreciate your time and so grateful for the work that you do.
Thank you, Wendy. Same here.
All right. Well, the real life transformations facilitated by experts like my guest today are truly priceless. I mean, happiness, joy, peace, love, right? These are all what each of us ultimately strives for in life. But becoming a sought after and well paid coach or energy healer is often challenging, overwhelming, and frustrating. So, if you're a heart centered coach, expert, or energy healer who's striving for more ease, flow, and abundance, well, I've created a special gift just for you. So check out the show notes. All right. Well, this is Wendy Vaughan signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to join me for my next episode where we'll be inspired by yet another impact maker's journey.